I do these videos not because I enjoy watching people getting taken out, including people like this right here, badged law enforcement, thin blue line tyrants, let's just call it like it is, getting taken out. I do this because there's a different way to look at this. There's a different perspective, and a lot of people, probably most people, a high percentage of Americans, really look at the thin blue line as this wall that you cannot penetrate. They sidestep and ignore the criminality done by human beings who wear badges and uniforms and utility belts and come with the authority of the state. And you can tell this by looking at some of the comments under videos like this, and all the way around, no matter how you look at it, this video is tragic. This is from Midwest Crime. We're going to go over this and we're going to make some comments along the way. It says, when the epitome of evil has an AR-15. Well, what if one of the ways to look at this is the epitome of evil is not the guy who is firing at the law enforcement officers? What if the epitome of evil is the officer or officers themselves? Let's go ahead and take a look at this video right here and we'll make some comments.
He's got a rifle. He's got a rifle. Shots fired! Shots fired!
Glenn Perry, later called the epitome of evil by law enforcement. Armed with an AR-15, he was about to face off with two officers. What began as a routine traffic stop would soon become an incident that shook the entire community. It was April 8th, 2023, at a quiet intersection in Cameron, Wisconsin, when Officer Emily Breidenbach was on her routine patrol and spotted Glenn Perry's vehicle.
Now, they make that sound innocuous. She was just on a routine patrol. Well, we know what routine patrols usually mean. She's looking for a way to economically terrorize a fellow human being, a fellow American, in the name of protecting and serving the crap out of them. She's the authority on the scene. She's the order follower. And if you don't comply with her commands, then you have done what is called contempt of cop. And well, that just can't be tolerated. So on that level, I don't have any kind of respect for somebody who would wear the uniform and treat another human being like that.
But something wasn't right. Earlier that day, a Barron County Sheriff's captain had sent out a warning email stating Perry's mental health had been deteriorating, that he was armed and increasingly hostile toward law enforcement.
Now, there is more to this story right here. But can you really be shocked at Americans exhibiting hostility toward law enforcement when they do things like what they did to Stephen Lara in Nevada, when the Nevada Highway Patrol took $87,000 of his own money, when they enact civil asset forfeiture, when cops, like say in states like California or New York, are violating the Second Amendment, your right to keep and bear arms, which is supposed to not be infringed. Can you name a law enforcement officer or a cop who's now out there enforcing the drug war laws on behalf of the prison industrial complex? So it's really no surprise when you look at it from that perspective why people are short-fused around cops, why they're fearful when they pull up behind you and turn on the cherries and berries, or they just pull up behind you like that one TikTok cop says, and they just want to make you nervous because they like to see you squirm. It's no surprise to me that somebody would have deep animosity toward that group of people.
With an active warrant for unpaid child support, Officer Breidenbach knew this could escalate.
I don't want to diminish that either. If he's got unpaid child support, if he has a dependent who depended on him and he wasn't taking care of their needs, that makes him a bad person right there too.
She didn't pull him over right away, but called for backup. Soon, 23-year-old Officer Hunter Scheel arrived at the scene, ready to assist her.
He's got a rifle. He's got a rifle. Shots fired! Shots fired! Officer down! Officer down! Officer down!
Body cam captured the heartbreaking moment when Officer Hunter Scheel went down. Through the chaos, his radio call for support echoed to other officers, signaling the need for urgent help.
Officer down! Officer down! Officer down! Fuck! He's got a gun here. A rifle. He's got a rifle. Shot fired!
Not long after, a 911 call came in from a witness nearby.
Barron County 911, where is your emergency?
Before we get to this witness's call, you got to think to yourself, law enforcement officers, gosh, why are people so scared around us? Why are they so apprehensive to get into a conversation with us? Because you guys are trained to lie. You're trained to data mine. You're trained to extract information out of people so that you can use their words against them. You economically terrorize people. You put the torture cuffs on people. You kidnap people. You throw them into a cage. We call them a rape cage. You conduct body cavity searches, or have your henchmen in the prison industrial complex conduct body cavity searches. And you wonder why people are so against you. You wonder why people constantly say things like, well, you earned the hate again, officer.
Hi, I'm actually just sitting here. I ended up pulling over because I saw a dog in the middle of the road, and then all of a sudden I see an officer down and a gentleman on the ground. Looks like he's bleeding on his leg, and a rifle on the ground as well.
Yeah, we got people on the way there, okay? Where exactly are you at?
327, Baron. I'm only copying parts. Is he still on scene?
327, we have two officers down. He is set up with a rifle.
Now, in a lot of realms, there's a lot of people who hear that, 2 officers down. Oh my God, this is horrible. And other people are like, well, you play with fire and you're going to get burned. You keep on poking the bear and expect not to get mauled. What's up with that? What if it was the redcoats that was doing this to the colonists? Would you feel sorry for the redcoats?
327, I'm disengaging, getting traffic out of here.
It's going to yell at somebody now.
Get out of here! Go!
What if I don't want to?
We have an officer involved shooting. Your officer was involved. We're not sure what the status is right now, but 608, and we know for sure 614 were down.
Well, hey, you need to come out.
I need to come out, huh?
You need to come out.
All right, what's up?
Officer involved shooting 2 officers. Double S just south of, by the pole factory, okay? Thanks.
Hello?
Hey, we have officer involved shooting. We need you to come out.
Oh, okay.
They're double S just south of Cameron, Glen Perry. A couple officers, so we need you to come out, okay?
Okay.
Thanks, bye.
In no time, all available police units were mobilized to the location, racing to secure the area.
Stay tuned, because we're going to see the narrative that the law enforcement agency, the police department, was weaving against this guy to somehow justify their own actions. They're going to criticize a letter that this guy who came out against the cops wrote. And I want you to pay special attention to that letter, because he says some things that kind of sound similar to the letter that the law enforcement department later writes.
We're requesting all detectives, please. Requesting all detectives.
Okay. Yeah. Come on.
And by the way, we may not have all the story here, because there's a lot of cutting in and cutting out. We don't know exactly what the initial responding officer, the 2 officers, said to this guy. Maybe there was an interaction that we're not privy to. We do know that cops are in the habit, police departments are in the habit of hiding body cam videos and not releasing them till well after the fact.
Down, let's go. Ready? Are you good? Okay. We're approaching. Yeah, we see it. All right, it's on his left. All right, I got. Move the gun. I got lethal. Yep, I got lethal. Cover me, I got guns. I got lethal. Let me get this rifle. Yep. I got lethal. You got that? Yep. Okay, roll him. With you? Yep. you grab that clear? Yeah, yes. We got 2 officers down. We got 195. The bad guy's also shot. You guys come on. Clear hard. There goes the car. Hold on. Clear. Stand clear. I got it. No. Back's clear. Front's clear. Got another rifle up front. Then you mess up.
When officers arrived at the scene, Glenn Perry was...
Seems like clearing the car would have been one of the first things they would do, because the guy who's down on the ground, he was already visible, and I think that he was already deceased. Seems like you would have cleared the car, because that's the part of the equation that is hidden from you. You don't know if somebody's sitting in the back seat of the car. I don't know. That's just me.
Found bleeding from a single gunshot wound to his leg, with the AR-15 rifle he used to kill the officers lying beside him. Perry bled to death from the injury. Later, a search of his home revealed 8 more firearms, large amounts of ammunition, and disturbing writings detailing plans for special ops style missions, and part of those ops were to go after cops. For special ops style missions targeting specific individuals. Officers Breidenbach and Scheel likely saved countless lives that day.
Now, this can be viewed from a different perspective as well. While this guy says these 2 officers likely saved countless lives that day, and probably they're thinking in the future because they said that this guy who did this was a mental case, it can be argued on the other side too. That guy saved a bunch of lives that day, now and in the future, from being economically terrorized, being possibly tased to death, being tortured, having the torture cuffs put on, or, future kidnappings that might have happened under these 2 thin blue line, what some would call tyrants.
Perry, armed and dangerous, stood for a full minute after the shooting, and his premeditated actions posed a direct threat to other officers and passing civilians.
Now, I'm not giving this guy a pass, okay? This guy might have been a really, really bad dude. But who else was out there that was armed and dangerous? Probably more dangerous. We've seen video after video. We know enough. We have enough life experiences to definitively say infinitely more dangerous, because they come with this air of authority, and most people think that those cops have the authority. There's always 2 sides to look at this right here. I'm not happy about the fact that 3 of my fellow human beings are no longer with us anymore, but you got to look at things from different perspectives.
District Attorney described Perry as the epitome of evil just the day before the shooting.
Can't you also describe the people who would just dare to just follow orders? Not being conformists, not being moralists, but being conformists, doing what they're told regardless of what is right. Can't you rightly label them also as the epitome of evil?
An alert was sent out warning officers about Perry's animosity toward law enforcement, urging extreme caution. Perry...
Gee, I wonder why it says Glenn is carrying a handgun at all times. So are cops. There's nothing wrong with carrying a handgun at all times, but they say that Glenn is mentally ill and has really been going off the deep end lately, nothing specific, and he is concerned about Glenn's safety and the safety of law enforcement if we should have contact with Glenn. Glenn is carrying a handgun at all times. He has a lot of animosity toward law enforcement and the government in general. Gosh, they rape and wreck and ruin and throw us into rape cages all the time, and we're not supposed to have any kind of animosity toward law enforcement and government in general? Does that even make any sense? He has been making statements to the effect that the Creator has given him the authority to defend himself at all costs, and talking about wanting the governor to give him $27 million to start a business and overturn the judge's ruling on his divorce, among other unreasonable or delusional thoughts. Well, they might not be delusional thoughts. Not all of them. Maybe some of them are. All of them may be. All of them may not be. We don't really know, because we're getting redacted information so that the law enforcement agencies can weave a narrative, which we've seen them do countless times in the past. And his family are trying to put together a 3-party commitment. If they get it, we will have to put together a tactical plan on how to get him into custody. So they're actually conspiring against this guy. Maybe he's crazy. Maybe he needs people to intervene. Maybe he needs to be removed from society because because he is a danger to himself and to other people, or specifically to other people. But they are literally writing a plan, conspiring against them, conspiring against Glenn, just like they said Glenn is doing in a conspiracy against them.
He also had a warrant out for unpaid child support. It was because of this warning that officers Breidenbach and Scheel waited until he was outside of town to initiate the stop. Surveillance footage from a nearby business shows Perry immediately opening fire after being pulled over, with 3D animations later illustrating the 10 bullets that struck Officer Breidenbach's squad car. Had Perry not been stopped that day, it's likely that more first responders or even passing drivers would have been at risk.
That 50-year-old Glenn Perry had been civilly committed back in 2011. When that expired, his legal right to own firearms had been reinstated. But the day before...
I could see them totally using this segment right here and this incident to go, oh man, if you've ever been committed, well, you're not going to get your right to keep and bear arms back, ever.
He murdered 2 officers. A warning had gone out that his mental health had again declined.
Murdered 2 officers? He could have, and I'm not saying he did. I just don't see the video evidence either way. But the story could have gone that he was defending himself. Could be. I don't know.
He'd made statements against law enforcement, saying even that the creator, he said, had given him authority to defend himself at all costs.
Okay, everybody's got that authority. You got your own personal right to defend yourself from any assailant. It doesn't matter if they're a regular off the street assailant or a badged uniformed assailant who is partaking in, as the Mullen Commission concluded when investigating the NYPD back in the 1990s, active police criminality.
District Attorney's report concluded that the bravery and sacrifice of officers Breidenbach and Scheel prevented further tragedy.
As law enforcement officers from near and far gathered to mourn their fallen brother and sister.
It's devastated. Emily is a friend of mine. It's been a rough week for all of us.
And even many who had never met these officers are still grieving.
Ask yourself this question based on what this guy just said. How many people have these 2 officers ruined the week of in their entire career? Let's say they've been on the force 5 years, 15 years. How many people in that period of time, how many people's lives have they ruined?
Their hearts heavy, their souls weary.
You didn't know them, so what made you still want to come out here and support them today?
The uniform they wore. They protect me and everybody else.
And there is the delusion. They protect me and everybody else. I didn't know these people, but they got a uniform on, so they must be the good guys. And many times, nothing could be further from the truth. And that's why I do these videos, because there's a different way. There's always a different perspective. There's always a narrative that's weaved so that you can believe something that may not be true. And that narrative, that deceptive narrative, oftentimes comes from local police departments. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification icon. Give it a thumbs up. Share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my brand new channel called The Disturbing Illusion. Things are really heating up this election season. You know, there's this left versus right paradigm lie that we definitely need to bust through so that we can have a freer, more prosperous, and peaceful and just society. I will see you in the next video.